All right. Good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the new um, Resolume Weekly stream. I'm already streaming. I'm fixing some super late technical issues, which should be fixed rather quickly. Um, but I was planning on using Ableton and Resolume at the same time, but OBS really doesn't like that, so I have to fix that in the future. How are you guys all doing? Am I a little bit audible? I hope so. Yo, yo. Hey, Adam, how are you doing? Uh, I hope you're doing fine. I got your email about collaboration. Looking forward to that. Let me turn this party down. Really serious visuals now. All right. Yo, yo. Even more yo, yo. Steve, how are you doing? Hope you're doing good. And let's see if I'm all set to go. Um, I think I am. So, once again, welcome to the Resolume stream. Had to improvise a little bit with the audio back there, but we're good to go. So, this weekly stream again, we're going to take some look at some new footage, play around with it. I got a nice juice bar plugin that I will demonstrate, and I have some. We'll take a look at Wire, do a basic Wire Q&A, and I thought what would be a cool idea to do this live stream is make a source from front to back, completely new source for Arena and Avenue. Patch that live on stream, and then show you how you can compile patches and the compiled patch, so the source. I will share that in the description after the live stream is over, and you can use it in your own. You can use it in your own version of Arena or Avenue. You do not need Wire to do this. You can just drag and drop. I'll show you the installing process, but I thought it would be a cool idea to do it that way. My original plan was to do live audio from Ableton, show some Ableton Link stuff, but my live streaming software really doesn't like it when I do that. So I quickly grabbed some old samples, so the music you hear is reused. But I think we'll manage. So this first pack, and as always, before we start, if you have any questions, throw it at me. We have some developers in the chat who can help you out with difficult questions. And if your question is really cool, then I'll answer it myself. Let's put some music on this. I have no clue what I'm selecting right now. Um, this is 130 BPM. Let's put that in. Could be good, could be absolute trash. It's 130 BPM. That's interesting. It's probably that's interesting. Okay, I'm going for a little bit more basic, basic than that weird electronic stuff. Anyway, we got some music going. I have to turn it down a bit, and I can turn it up a bit, turn it down a bit. Monitor. Sorry. So we should be good to go. So this first pack we have going here is called Dark Attraction by Carolina S. Otero. I hope you pronounce your name correctly. It's a really cool pack consisting of these marble-like sculptures floating in space and glitching out. It's really nice. I do have a question about this, and I'm curious about your opinions on this kind of footage packs, because it's already very distorted, right? There's already glitch effects and stuff over it. Do you guys like that, or would you prefer a non-glitched version of this kind of footage? No glitchy, twitchy effects, but apply that yourself. Because I really like the aesthetic of this one. Is she wearing Wait a second. Is she wearing a? Oh no, I was thinking she was wearing a face mask. You know, very COVID proof. But yeah, it's this wireframe effect, which I think wireframe is really cool. I love the aesthetics of the pack. The nice thing of this kind of stuff is that this is plug and play. Um, I don't really see myself layering this kind of footage. I have this, this, and fade. Maybe something like difference could be interesting. You really have to play with the blend modes because in the footage itself there is not a lot of space, right, to create your own composition. I'm not dissing on the pack. I'm just looking at it from a VJing perspective. I would love to throw this into a techno or whatever. One thing that really reminded me of this clip reminded me of I VJ'd for American producer called Machine Drum a few years ago, and he also had really a lot of this kind of footage. This would have fitted in perfectly, but it was a little bit more like a vaporwave aesthetic. But I guess let's turn the music out off for a second. I think if you're looking for this vaporwave aesthetic, it's probably pretty easy to make, right? That's more like pink and purple stuff. Let's try to just use saturated or something like that. Might be able to. You guys know what I mean with the. Oh, that's the wrong layer mark. Nice. Use saturating a music. It doesn't do anything. But you guys know what I mean with more vaporwave wave aesthetic, right? So you get a more. Well, what actually would be nice is to desaturate, to turn the saturation down on this one, so completely no saturation, which is already a cool effect. So now, okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit carried away because it just there's some opportunity for cool stuff here. So let's start with the bass. So this would be a cool clip for something like techno, whatever. This is really flexible stuff. You can use it anywhere. You could use it at a hip hop show. Want to go a little bit more hard? Desaturate it, so it's only black, only gray and black and white. Colorize it with a palette, and we'll just use some presets. You can get some pretty neat stuff. That's too flashy. Well, you can tone this down, of course. You can get some interesting color combinations. And what would be cool on this one, because it's black and white, shifting, RGB shifting. I'm just doing this for this clip. It could be done on this clip as well. Doesn't really matter. But I was doing it on the layer, right? Yeah. So that's a little different clip for your visual needs. And then shift the R a little bit. That would be cool. No, not the blue. Just shifting one channel on this kind of stuff is really nice. Needs more cowbell. Shit, my music needs more cowbell. Okay, Leonard, I'll make you a promise. If you're back next week on the stream, I'll have a cowbell song. Write that down. I have a ton of cowbell. So yeah, you can go multiple ways with this. I was looking into, well, you can do stuff like tinting it, tint. That's a lot of tint. Tinting. What is it? Recoloring? That's the one I was looking for. You can get some cool looks. This is really somehow reminds me of like Warhammer 40k, and that's a kind of grim, dark fantasy stuff. Something you would see in a science fiction console. Anyway, cool little pack. I think I can make an effect of this. So something cool would be is to shift the RGB of it a little bit, maybe, and then I'll BPM sync this. We are in sync. Beat. Stuff like this. I need to think of some more creative how you say, creative effects to quickly pull together because I think I'm showing off the shift glitch. Anyway, easy, easy effect, cool stuff. It seems like the comment section is quite clear on what you guys prefer. Like you would prefer a cleaner look. I don't mind the fact that there's certain moments in which we go wireframe. I don't really mind that. I just find the glitching and the displacement stuff that's really cool, but that's our job, right? This glitching and shifting, it really forces you into one. It forces you to use a glitchy, distorted image. If you want to VJ something really clean, that then this obviously doesn't work. So yeah, I really like the pack. Don't get me wrong, I really like it. I would use this myself. I'm getting to VJing soon again. So nice. Dark Souls vibe. I get that. I get that too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't played that game. Probably have to load. Want to go full Dark Souls. Dark Souls, we have to go really dark. To go grim dark and add grain, static and not. Anyway, so far for this annoying techno beat and this footage pack, it's pretty cool. Now from the grim dark of the dark attraction pack, I'm gonna show you guys something really funny, something really different. You already seen it in the intro. It's called the virtual stage effects pack, and it is basically all kinds of funny. The pack is a lot larger than it. I just cherry picked some cool stuff out of it. I love these guys. I don't know how are they called. Whirly twirly people. There's a name for these things. There's probably some Americans in the comment who know how these creatures are named. Anyway, it's a lot of very as we call it in the Netherlands face DJ kind of footage. Let's see if I can put some music on. So I was looking at this pack, and it has a lot of cool lasers, and there's balloons, and there's the twirly people. There's explosions. I always like it when there's explosions. Um, and there's balloons and confetti. I was looking at this pack. I was like, where would you use it? Well, if you're like the kind of person who VJs in like party bars, probably a bar called Bebidas or called Shooters or something like that. This kind of footage would look great on the background. Um, and I was also thinking, how cool would it be for stuff like this, where we're still talking just a party night of a regular bar, and you would have a webcam somewhere in the bar, and if people look into it, they get projected onto the screen, and this is their background or something, or they press a button and this confetti bursts up or something like that. That would be cool. For you could easily create something like that with wire. Um, so it was just a little idea. So it's a really funny pack. There's explosions. There, I need to say more, right? All right. Moving on to the next one. Uh, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Mix this stage pack with the clip from the other pack. We're going to yes, just yes. So we probably need some fireworks. The lasers won't do anything, so the background can be off. This one goes away. So let's do the explosions, and then put put this in. Yeah, this is some serious VJing right here. This is some seriously aesthetics. This is not Resolume generated. These are all just clips. uh, so this is. I would not rock this combo. This is probably the worst combination of clips you can have. Like really serious. I think we have like one clip, one footage pack. I still have to demo it. It's called "Lonely Guy" or something. It's about a dystopian future. It's kind of politically arranged actually, and then putting this over it would be absolutely horrible. Let's not butcher these clips any further and move on to the next pack, and that will be the final pack. Um, this one, I only have one note to myself. Hey, Mr. Livestream, show the composition. Normally, you download a pack and it has a bunch of clips in it, but I wanted to show you in this pack what you're actually getting in the download file because there's a lot more to it. Let me show you. It is called Light Patterns by Laba. And if I open the folder, I'll drag it here, make it a bit smaller. You have all the clips of this pack, which are 80 clips, which is a lot. But then there's a little folder that gives you a complete composition, which we'll look at in a bit. And there's even a manual. This is really cool to how to operate this pack. It's all virtual. It's basically a virtual lighting setup, and there's a complete tutorial on how to use this pack, which is really really cool. It's explaining how it's done. There's already effects on it. There's shapes on it. Um, we could go into this pack for a long time. I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to show off like the amount of explanation and documentation this pack has. There's a 35-page manual just explaining how you can work with this pack, which I think is absolutely crazy and really cool. Let me save this, go back and rock this on. Sorry. Save and open. So we're getting this really big composition. It's made by the author of the pack. 9 layers, one big group. There's already effects on it, and what it does, there's these lighting setups, and I think it wants an FFT, which is unfortunate because these are BPM synced, so I can demonstrate these. Some BPM synced visuals. Let's put some music underneath this to demonstrate it properly. Let me look up some music. I picked some weird music again. I really have to clean up my self-made music folder. So that's a lot better. Some really simple but cool lighting effects. And these are BPM synced. I cannot show you the FFT because currently my whole audio setup is good. That's pretty cool. My machine is a little bit struggling live streaming this with this many clips. So this stuff is BPM synced. What's clever? It's made with Bloom. So this probably is then completely. That's clever. I didn't notice yet. This entire composition is made inside of Arena. So what the author has done is use the checkerboard source, which is set to beats, the alpha set to beats, and then the whole group. So in this case, that would be every layer. except for layer 2 and the music layer. They get meta shaped into balls, circles. They get transformed. Don't know why that is. That's just a master transform that doesn't do anything as you want it to. And then apply bloom to everything so we get these lamps. That's really clever. Nice. And then there's all these variations over here with all effects. So this is a pretty cool, not only a cool pack to VJ with, it's easy to VJ with, because there's probably some stuff that's FFT based. Oh, it takes a FFT of the composition. Does it? Yeah, composition. Okay, so we are. We can. That's why I can demonstrate. So it takes the FFT of the clip that's playing in the composition right now. You can change it, of course. So this is some pretty clever stuff. So there has to be sound. And there's he or she is using every tool in the arena arsenal to create these cool lighting effects. It's very smart, well made, really nice. So check that out. Link should be in the description, and we'll move on to the plugin. But as you can see, it's fully documented, really cool. A lot of work went into it, that's for sure. And the thing I wanted to show you off finally is the orbit effect. I don't think I've showed this before in the live stream before. If so, oh, I'm sorry. It's a cool little effect from the juice bar. It is this ring-like object, and we have control over some of its parameters. Let's make my screen a little bit bigger so you guys can see what's going on. So we have this ring. We have control over the brightness. First, go through the parameters. Its size, its angle, and its rotation. That looks the same right now, but there's a difference, which I'll come back to later. You can displace the rings, as each ring can be displaced over the x or the y axis. You can adjust something they call width, which seems to be reverse. The more you go to the left, it gets thicker, I'd say. And this is also where not yet the angle comes into play. Segments is the amount of parts it has. So at 0, it is literally just one ring, and then it breaks up into smaller stuff and even smaller particles. There's a random seed you can set if you need to. The burn can be applied. You can adjust the number of circles. So if I just have a few circles, spread them out a little bit. The number of circles, there's just more or less. It's very clear here. Tick, tick, tick. Just a few circles or lot circles. And this is also where the angle comes into play, because you can rotate the entire effect or rotate just the angle of the circles, the rings. Let's put the width a little bit up. The color can be set. It seems it has either RGB or yeah, you just go from RGB to white and somewhere in between. Set to default. Angle spread is the amount of difference between each circle. So at 0, they all rotate at the same angle, which is kind of cool. You can see some cool pseudo fire effects. And as they spread more and more and more and more and more, they turn into this circular shape. Distance. They so whether they're equally spread, equally sized spread, or all the same size, and you can add some grain to it if you like. So I went to play around with this effect a little bit. I made this one. So let's see what I'm doing here. Just disable the effects first. On the beat, I'm shooting up the brightness. If I pause this for a second, you can see fully visible what is happening. So what I did is create two envelopes. They both bounce and they are reverse of each other. So this way it nicely bounces one way and then it bounces the other way. I just found this nice balance between the two. That's all for that. Then I use some. I put an envelope on the kick, all BPM synced on the brightness. So this way we get this flashy effect. Then I change the color with the tint node, which always gives just a nice color. And then I transform it. So what some people might not notice, you have the transform of your clip right here, and that's the size of the entire clip, right? Which is normally set at 100, and you can move your clip around. But transform is also an effect which does exactly the same. Only the difference is now you can set the opacity. So if I turn the opacity to 0, you can see only the central shape exists. And as I start to fade in, I have this secondary shape, which is rotated by 90 degrees. So we get sort of cross sort of form out of it. And I scale it up to 100%. 200%, well, two reasons for that. One, it just looks cool if there's a contrast between sizes, but also because it's a texture, because it transforms the entire clip. If I set it to 100, you can see that it gets clipped on the sides, which makes sense. So that's why I put it at 200, just to be sure. Pretty cool little piece of content made with the orbit shape source. Then I went on with this one. Let's turn it off. Let's see what is happening here. A lot of synchronization again. I just try to make sort of a particle kind of thingy out of it. And then some video walls, some trails, some effects. And this is the last one where I tried layering two of the orbits. If you see any hiccups in the screen right now, my computer is having a hard time streaming and running Arena at the same time. It's not the source itself. Yeah, again, put an effect on the entire column, have the regular orbits going on and a background. So yeah, just some creative uses of this new plugin. So uh, next up, let's first check if there is any questions that I can answer. More cowbell. um, uh, Sai Kumar, a question about mapping videos. I can currently not do live mapping during the live streams. I'm getting a setup with a secondary camera and a beamer so I can show projection mapping live on stream. I hope to do that somewhere in the next month or so. I don't really have a time frame on it. We do have some video mapping tutorials on our YouTube channel already. And what is also a really cool channel to check that does light does just mapping is called Luma Bakery. I think she is She does projection mapping. I'm pretty sure it's a she. Projection mapping on cakes, but she explains projection mapping with Resolume really well. There's some tutorials on YouTube for that as well. So check that out. Is there a way to have independent intensity for slices? Well, I think if you have the advanced setup, you have your slices and you have your output transformation, then you have the brightness here, right? So you could create less or more brightness, and this is MIDI mappable as well. There is not an opacity on slices as far as I know. So yeah, just turn the opacity and contrast down, and you'll have less intensity. I also don't know what you mean with intensity. Do you mean opacity? Because in that case, you can just change uh, the opacity of the clip you're using and not the slice itself. Can you? I don't think you can map slices to DMX. It's something different. But I'm not sure. I must be honest. Even though I'm the Resolume tutorial guy, DMX stuff is new to me. Um, maybe Stein can he's in the comments can message Zoltan to take a look at this question and he can answer you. He's a more pro in this kind of in this department than I am. Yeah, the brightness of the slices can be controlled in the output right here. Luma Bakery is called no Luma Box. I didn't know that. But anyway, that's an awesome YouTube channel. You should check it out. So far, that's was it for Arena. Now I want to move on to Wire. Let me grab Wire. Um, so by now, I think everybody in the stream now knows what Wire is. I'm not going to explain that every stream again. If you have some questions about Wire, just throw them in the comments. Something you want to see, demonstrate or whatever. But I thought it would be cool to make a source uh, on stream and show you how to compile it and share with you guys, so you can use it in your own footage. So, and I'll show some, of course, I'll show some Arena integration for this as well because we need to know it works. Thank you, Manny. You're awesome. Let's start with with a rectangle. Let's start with a. I have no clue where this is going. I'm just starting out. This will be a very experimental thingy. So I want to have a rectangle. I'll probably make the option later on to switch between shapes. Um, and let's do transform. Oh, let's make a complex shape. That's cool. Complex shape. I like that idea. So we'll give the user control over a rectangle, a triangle, and a circle. All right. I'll create a float in parameter, which will control the size of the shape, which I will rename size, and which goes into every shape. So now and they will be more or less the same size. The triangle is a little bit offset. Maybe that's not the. We'll just roll with. Do we roll with that? Maybe some more interesting shape anyway. Let's do a spokes. All right. And then I will create a union of the two shapes. That's not very interesting, of course. If you have any suggestions, what you want to see me do during this, uh, shout it out, because it would be cool to do this kind of stuff together. All right, that's an interesting shape, and let's delete the circle too, and create a more interesting shape for this as well. Mm, let's see. Well, what we might be even better is just to give the user control over the amount of spokes. Hmm. We're going organic leaves. We're going for vegan visuals. Right. Even though this is a very simple shape, we can do something cool with that. Let's just keep rolling with it. Let's create an edge, and you still have control of the size. All right. Let's just see with this. Start with this and see where we're going. So I'll transform it because I want to apply some movement to it. And let's say circle pattern. Let's do 50 instances. Make the edge really, really thin. All right. Well, that is getting somewhere. Um, so now it's really vague, but probably when we render it to a texture, it will be more visual again. So now let's rotate it. We can rotate the entire thing, which is already interesting because it's such an asymmetrical shape. Mm, but what we can change the angle. That's not something you want to do. Oh, I can of course increase and decrease the radius. Might be interesting to give the user control over that. And it's not yet possible to have a camera input in wire, but that is all stuff that's in the near future, hopefully. So what I'll do, I'll create a saw to make the shapes go around. So if I do, well, let's say I have 50, now they're all rolling at the same time, right? Which is cool, but might be cooler if we offset the oscillators. Aha. Okay, now we're getting into interesting territory, because what happens if you give your user control over this rotation? Does it end up being interesting? Yes, it does. Yes, it does indeed. So I would say between 1 and 10 would be cool. So I'll create a float between 1 and 10. It doesn't want the float 1, 1. 1 and 10. Now we have this nice slider to create this funky little. Let me scale up the preview screen a little bit so you guys can see better what's going on here. We're getting into some interesting territory here. And we need Steve in a bit to think of a cool name. He's always good with the weird names. Um, and this would be, how would I call this? call it offset. Of we call it flower Nessie. Flower Nessie. I'll call it offset for now until we get a cooler name for that. So that's pretty nice. Um, yeah, we're getting somewhere. What do you guys think? This is really the how you say the creative process. Just you gotta roll with that a little bit. You can give the user control of the radius. That's pretty nice. Because what I like to do is when I'm designing patches like this, is to give the user as much control as possible without getting complicated. Like really, like oh my god, there's so much parameters going on. What? How the hell does this work? So create a radius. I think radius is cool. Um, from 0 to 1, 1 might be a bit too much, but one is 0 to 1 is nice. I'll show a trick when we wrap this up. I'll show a trick how I make sure that everything runs from 0 to 1 because personally, I don't like it when parameters run from 3.65 to 5.92 and the sweet spot is somewhere. I want to have everything just 1 to 0. I think that is a clean way. Yeah, I like to run it clean, same as I like to run my patches clean with hubs. For everybody who doesn't know what a hub node does, it does nothing. It just patches your signal through. Blossom. We're getting cool names. Now we need some color, right? Um, what would be cool to do is create sort of a. Let's be creative with color. So at this point we can render it. We also get a better look on how it looks. So now you can already see like the stuff gets a little bit more thick. But I think if I just put it on my screen, no, it's still thick. You just need to reduce the edge a little bit. Yeah, that's really cool. Maybe increase a little bit. That looks good to me. Yeah. Almost feel like we should have the a copy of the texture in a different color in the center or something, like a blossom. That would be a cool idea. So let's run through with the blossom idea for a bit. Um, we want to give it a color. We can of course just give it make it somewhere green. First, I want to visually test it, so I'm just going to give it a simple color. This is not definitely not definitive, and I want to shape render it twice. Let's make it red. It's a bit of a stereotype, but let's roll with that. And before we video mix it, I want to transform this. And this bottom layer, I want to make smaller than the. So I'll lock this one and I'll decrease the scale on this. Of course, at some point, if this visually works, we'll make sure they how you say they are in the same spot. Yeah, we can add shadows. To just drop shadow this. But I think this shape is already so I say um, complex that adding something in the center, no, this is not working. I don't like it. So I'll work with color instead. Um, so what would be something cool to do? How about we take a color, we let the user pick a color, and then we randomize that color a little bit. That's just an idea. So we'll take a color in. We'll let the user decide on the color. Let's just be green for now. So as soon as you have a color in, I'll rename it color. Now the user has control over the color. I have no idea why my FPS is dropping. This should be no. That's probably some stupid Windows installer in the background or something like that. So I have color. Um, I understand what you're saying, Steve. Shadows between the copies of the main shape. Uh, so in between. That is possible, but then you should. That's not a good idea because then we would need to render each shape, add to a texture, and give it a drop shadow, and then mix it all together. So then we would have 50 layers of textures on top of each other. I'm thinking if there's another way to do this. Um, Maybe we can fake it a little bit. Could I shape render this again in black, for example? Transform it and make it like really, really a little bit tinier. This sort of gives the idea. 50 Shades of Grey. That sounds like the most screwed up version of that novel. 50 Shades of Graves. And then again, this stream is getting demonetized. Um, what I wanted to try, I don't know if this is a good idea, but we are here to learn and to experiment, is I take this color uh, and I want to randomize the color. So um, this is the color. Then I want to unpack it. So now I get the RGB values of the color. Now I'm gonna add. Is that a smart way to do it? No, it's not a smart way to do it. This would be better. Adding it just straight to the float 4. And I'll create a random value. I'll create a random float 4 value because I want to add a tiny little bit to each instance of the color. I'll create 50 instances because we are still running 50 shapes here. And oh, 50, 50 float 4 values. I do not want to have changes on the alpha, or maybe I do, but we can look at that later. And I'll make the changes running from let's say minus 0.1, 1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. So we're generating this huge amount of values. They're all getting added, get a little bit of an addition. And let's see what that does for color. Oh, that's trippy. That's more trippy than expected. It is cool though. We're getting some. You know what? I actually like this. Um, we could give the user a trigger for variation. So you can generate a new color scheme upon triggering. And then what we could do is create a float in that is the amount of variation, which runs from 0 to, I'd say, 0.1, or let's go crazy, 0.3. Yes. And then we pack this into this one's a float 4, pack it into a float 4, into every value, and the last value is 1 because we still want it there. And then we need it, that will be our max. Why is that? I need it to be 50. Oh, it's yeah, that's my mistake. This can go to events, and now it should work. Yes. But the min is still the same, so we'll negate it. And we'll set this to 50. So we'll create some variation. You don't see anything when this is sliding because it's not getting triggered. We could actually fix that by just triggering it from here, I guess. I don't like that. That's not nice. That's not a nice user experience. So I want a very little amount of variation, or I want a huge amount of variation. Your choice. Okay. I think this is a cool idea. I like it. What do you guys think? This way of random color generation. So we have sort of the I'll call it, I'll rename it base color. All right. So we already have a good amount of parameters here. We give the user control over the size of the shape, which is nice. We give control over the radius, the offset, so we can create weird shapes. Hey, then there's Baptiste. This is wire by Resolume. And upon triggering it, we can create new color variations and the amount of variations from very wild to tiny variations. And if I take a more heavy color like this, the variation amount is still nice. You always get a bouquet. You always get a bouquet of flowers. I quickly go through the comments if there's anything. So now I think shape-wise to texture conversion, we're doing nicely. Now, of course, there needs to be a feedback loop because what is a cool piece of footage without a feedback loop? So, well, this is a terrible idea. I'll quickly save it. Say it's called. Somebody called Adam called it Blossom. I like Blossom. Blossom is a cool one. So I don't really know what I want with the feedback delay, so I'm just gonna try a few things out. Maybe you guys pick a few tricks on the way. Trick number 1, using a transform in the way and changing. Becomes sort of a hot mess. No rotation. Let's scale it up. It's very trippy, but this is not the shape that I was looking for. Create variations like this. I don't know. Don't know. For a cool Um, well, translation could be cool. I'm not sure about it, but oh, that's need to be at 1. But let's say. All right. So what if we modulate the X transformation? If that's something with a sine, and I'll make it run from 10 to 10, 10 to minus 10, back it up. Maybe a little bit more. Another sine, offset it by 5. Oh, need to connect it. I'm not feeling this. um, you know what? Maybe just basic feedback. Let's give the user control over feedback. So let's say we have this feedback parameter here. This would be the amount of feedback. Or if before we do that, let's switch this up. Let's see if that's a cool effect. Sometimes it makes nicer if you change layers, but it has no effect right now. Does this need a feedback? You can just add trails in Arena. I don't think this one needs. I'm sticking to this. I think this is pretty cool. And also time to wrap up the stream. So I'll show you guys how I will compile this. So step 1 is saving the patch, which I've done. Step 2 would be to oh, wait a second, I still have an output going on. Step 2 is setting it to a source because I want it to be a source. Description: you are the blossom of my heart. I don't know. That's the worst description ever. I'm such a romantic man. Put that as 0, 1. I like to set the variables at something that is a nice value, but also looks good. So let's put 75. 0.6. 0.6 seems to be nice. All right. So we have our parameter setup. We renamed our parameters. We have 6 parameters, which sounds like a nice amount. I'll save it and now I'll compile it. So consolidate, I want to compile it. I call it Blossom. I want to save it to, I will save it to my desktop. Oh, I made a little mistake. I want you guys to be able to open this. So this is a choice you have when you compile. Do you want it to be editable or do you want it to be non-editable? It is simply when you guys load this patch up in Arena after I put it online, you guys can make changes. So I see Steve wants solar winds and Adam wants to do something with the blur. You can do that. I make it editable. It's you. You can have a license name. I'll say Creative Commons, or just do what you want. That's a cool license name. um, so I make it editable. I'm saving it to my desktop so I can show you guys the installation process. So it is, I'll compile it. It's done compiling. Cool. I'll close down Wire. then I have here. Did I make a mistake? I think I made a mistake. Let's try that again. Oh, no, wait, I saw it already. I just lost the file on my desktop. No need wire. So here I have the Blossom wire patch. So now I will open up Arena. Need some time to think and make a new composition. Here's my new composition. Doesn't matter if it's new or not. I will drag the Blossom compiled patch onto Arena. It will ask me, would you like to install it into whatever folder you need? I'll install it. Now, if I go to sources, generators, and there it is, Blossom. I drag it onto Arena, and now we have our source in Arena. And as you can see, the clip, stuff like size, radius, the offset, my base color. Oh, that's actually a really nice color. Variations, the amount of variation. Oh, amount of variation can be set very little, very high. And that's my new effect. And I think this just shows you how easy it is to make some cool new shape completely improvised on a stream. Of course, if you go into it with a plan or a goal set in mind, and you are not, you don't have the feeling there's 25 people watching, eyes burning in your back, you might be able to do a lot better. Um, so yeah, you can make some amazing little shapes. I hope you guys like it. Um, yeah, hooray! So what I will do, I will try to, I'll make a Google link to this patch, so you guys can download it and install it onto your own machines. It will require Resolume Arena or Avenue 7 or higher. Um, and that's it. You don't need wire to run compiled wire patches, right? And if you own wire, you can edit it even with the trial version. So there you go. Enjoy. Um, Let me know if you like this kind of patching on the fly and then patching on the fly kind of content. Last week we discussed some new features coming to Wire. This week I didn't have that because the guys are really busy at making super secret stuff. Uh, cool stuff is coming up. Yeah, you need Resolume 7.4 at least to run Wire patches. That's the version in which we introduced Wire, so you need that. Yeah, I will share the. Oh yeah, I will share the patch on Slack as well. Join us in the Slack community. I'll put a link to that in the description too. So for today, I'm signing off. I'll upload the patch and I'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao.